All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I said, so we are recording, etc. Yeah, so we, as a lot of you know, we had family reunion back on, geez, started February 17th-ish to whatever. So we're fine then.
Switch the restroom.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. It's recording and
Oh, that's right. So, yeah, so thank you all for being here, and we just wanted to give a little recap and some ahas from the family reunion that was in Anaheim. And a lot of times, you know, I always want to preface, I'm always thankful for the people that actually physically go there. And I think all of us have been in Zoom land for a long period of time to know that, you know, there is a difference between physically being there and then just watching via Zoom. Because you don't really get to feel the whole intensity of the conversation or the speakers, or in particular, Ed Milet, right? Because, I mean, we will share some takeaways from Ed Milet, the keynote speaker on Monday, but really you can't put a price tag on just feeling it and experiencing it. So with that said, though, I wanted to bring Monica, who'll be here in a second, and then Nicole and Philip. They were people that were there in person. And the cool thing with family reunion too is, yes, we get to see Gary and Jay and Jason and Mark and Mo Anderson.
oh yeah, cool.
That was awesome. And then their keynote speakers, right? But part of family reunion is an immense amount of breakout sessions, right? There's so many breakout sessions that you can like, okay, I can go here, I can go here. There's a lot we missed.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about? So many, you can't go, you have to literally be intentional and plan your day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. So there is, I received all the documentation. I mean, there was just so much information. It was really information overload to the highest level, I think.
Absolutely. This was very intense.
Yeah.
Like I went to the one last year, but this one was like on steroids. Like they turned it up like 10 times.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll send it all out. I downloaded all the different PDFs. We have the vision statement. I mean, just the one that goes through all the numbers, and then the one that goes through all the company stuff. And then they gave us playbooks. You know, they gave us step-by-step information on how to do everything. So we will get that out to you as soon as possible, so you guys have all that information. But really just want to start with, we'll go ahead since I'll start here, Monica. You know, really, let's just, here we go, here, and then what were I know there's a bunch of different, so what is the top takeaway or aha that you had at this particular family reunion?
Being that this was my first big event, Keller was a big event, it was my first big one ever. I just got licensed in September last year, so
Congratulations again.
I know, brand new to this, right? Not new, not old either. But just the whole event itself, it was amazing. You know, they make you feel welcome. We've been in another industry and whatnot, but I don't know, it felt like at home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I felt the energy was crazy, and then it's just so much to even focus on one thing really. I was happy to be there, and it was not overwhelming at all, which my maths coach, she was worried that was going to be overwhelming. But I'm like, no, I had a good time, as little time that we got to have because kids and schedules and whatnot. But I had a good time, you know, and I cannot pinpoint to one thing specifically. I got to meet my NER coaches, my never ending referral coaches.
Oh, nice.
I got to meet him, so it was very fulfilling. So just the conversations I had with him, but it was an awesome event. I cannot pinpoint to one thing exactly, but overall, I really liked it.
Very good. So would you recommend to people that they should make sure they don't miss the next one?
Definitely, they need to, you know, it's investing on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that you cannot get it from a YouTube video. It's something that you need to be in person to grasp the whole, you know, the feelings, the emotions, you go from happy to excited to sad and back to happy, and oh my God, you're tired, oh my God, I need water, oh my God, no, I don't. So it's like, you know, so it's, you go up and down, but those up and downs makes it all worth because then you come back, recharge and ready to share with the team and just ready to, you know, to take on the world, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. So really for you, one of the top things is just the overall experience
Yes,
that you had.
yes, it was awesome.
Yeah. Good. So you ready for mega camp in August?
Yes.
The closer.
No, I gotta do mega camp.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank you. All right, Nicole, for you, what's your initial takeaway that you want to share with everyone?
My initial takeaway, it keeps going back to, because I remember last year was like the same type of scenario. Basically what Emma said, when he said, you are the one, you are the one. And it's basically saying to me that, you know, people, just like we just read the book, people buy you, they want you. They don't care what services you have to offer them. They want you. So use your story, what you've been through, your experiences to connect with people. And if they can connect with you, then you got it from there, you know? And so that was my key takeaway was, I am the one. I'm the one to make a change for my family. I'm the one to make a change for what I'm doing for the people that I know that's in my circle, the people that I meet. I am that one that can connect with them and be the one. for
Yeah.
them, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yay, that's awesome. That's a huge,
That's good.
I mean, that's huge,
Mhm.
right? And if you can just really, you know, like you said, internalize that and believe it to your core, that just catapults you to a whole nother
Right, because when you
stratosphere.
hear his story and where he came from, like, why would he be where he is today? You know what I mean? He could have made a choice to be alcoholic like his father,
Yeah.
or to be nothing because I don't have anything, you know, but he chose to, I'm gonna persevere no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move forward.
Yeah.
And one more day, and one more, you know, one more call or one more, just one more, you know?
One more ball.
Like I was listening when we did the golf on Saturday, and I was thinking about it when he said his son was like, you know, kind of like different and just didn't have any coordination, and he was just playing to win. That was my attitude towards golf. I'm just playing to win because I knew I wasn't good at it. So I'm just playing to win, it's for fun. I'm not really gonna take score. Let's just have a good time.
Yeah.
But when he said he started to play to win, like, you know what, it takes it to another level because your intention is different. Because I'm not just doing it for fun anymore. I'm actually playing to win. And you start to focus more on what your mistakes are and correct that.
Yeah. That's
So I'm
awesome.
playing to win.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. All right, Mr. Phillip.
My big takeaway was the vision speech. You know, so Monica and I, we come from a little bit different perspective with maps and all that stuff. So the night before, we missed the whole day. So we weren't there from the beginning, we weren't really there from the end. But we came to the party, right? We got there early enough for the party, and there's a tunnel where you walk right through and you're greeted by Mark. You know, Mark King is like, hello. And I'm like, dude, I'm taller than you. That's crazy. You know, you seem like you're 7 feet tall every time I see you on stage or on YouTube or whatever. And there he is, we're about the same height. And I thought, that's really cool. And I didn't want to take a selfie with him. I thought that'd be too cheesy. But the coolest thing was you go down this tunnel and on each side are all the maps coaches. And they're cheering you on as if you're about to hit the Super Bowl. Right. And that was like this feeling of like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. And, you know, as we're standing there hanging out, I realized like, hey, the people who are at maps and the people that we get to work with and everything, we're like the tip of the spear, right? And not just us at maps, but like those who are there at the event, right? We're the ones, and those who are watching online and just different aspects, the ones who are engaging in the business, we're the special forces of of the real estate business, right? We're learning enough, and he says it here the next day, there's equal reward, unequal opportunity. So little home supply is the problem. And he puts on here, without perspective, you're a dumb realtor. And it was like a ha thing. But you think about all the people who don't invest in themselves, who don't invest time in their business and craft. And you're like, oh my God, those are the ones who get sued, right? Not taken away from our office, but we've been in other places. where you look and see who got sued, and you're like, okay, here's a person who never comes to any training, you know, is like looking for the next sale, and here we go. And so the whole event, we went in thinking, okay, the market's the market, there's opportunity. And the last market that we weren't a part of, I knew people who became millionaires from it. And the market before that, we know people who were millionaires from that. And my mom knows the people in the prior market who became millionaires from that. How do we find our millions or billions in this market space? Right? And so when you look at the stats, every slide that you see, when you look at FR, the vision speech and all those stats, they all have a piece of gold. Like my coach said, bringing to what he said, the gold is in the information, the knowledge, right? And then if you read Think and Grow Rich, it's not just the knowledge and it's applied knowledge, it's applying it. So, okay, well, where's the nuggets of gold? And it's leads, listings, leverage, nothing has changed. It's he or she who controlled the leads, controlled the industry. And there were so many anecdotes through everything that they were sharing to say, hey, this is how you leverage this piece. And I printed out the playbook, and be honest with you,
It's a big playbook.
it's a big playbook. I haven't even read it. I'm just like, oh.
So, like she said, it's a lot of information and it can be intimidating.
I mean, we could do a deep dive on just the slides alone, and we miss Ed Milet. One of my takeaways from another mastermind group with MAPS team with one of our coaches is he broke his day up into 6 segments. Right, we also sleep, so that's given. But the 3 was like from 5 to 11, and then 11 to 5, and then 5 to 11 again. And the idea wasn't like winning every moment. It's like, what did I do in that segment that allowed me to win the day or win that period of time? So maybe for me, 5 to 11, okay, well, there's my miracle morning or a modified version of it, my family. So if I won that portion, if I could leave the home 9 times out of 10 on a high note, cool, the rest of the day can fall apart, knock on wood, I could get into a car accident and still be like, cool, my family's good, you know, all those things, that'll be my first win. And then my second win might be net +1, who do we add? You know, so you kind of look at the day differently. Instead of how did I win the day, how did I win those segments of my day? And then how did I win the hour? You know, you can just go down that bunny hole in a positive way. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I like what you said about, you know, about in different times of the real estate history, right? There's always something. And it's always interesting when, like, for seeing Ed Milet, and then I listened to one of his podcasts with Rob Dyrdek, right?
Yeah.
And who's
way different than just a funny
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
I mean, he's at a whole other level than even Ed Milet. You know, I mean, they compliment, but you know, listening to him, I was just like, it was so weird because he's so smart. He's just so purposeful and intentional in every single way, but he's so easy to comprehend and listen to. You know, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, you're so successful that I can't even relate to you.
Yeah.
And then, but he's so relatable
Mhm.
and just keeps it real. And it's like, wow. But anyway, one of the things that he said to piggyback on what you're saying is that no matter what the market is, or no matter what's happening, there's always, something is always going to be there. Something is always going to be there because so that's why I think, you know, family reunion can have come at a better time because the big component of it is truly mindset. Right? And then mindset towards how are you viewing what's going on in the world? Right? How are you staying mentally healthy, the bumper pads on, etc. And then what's your mindset around knowing the numbers? What's your mindset regarding what's going on? What's your mindset regarding the uncertainty in the world? But if we look back, no matter decades, generations, so on and so forth, there's always something that can either deter you, like, I'm not going to do it because of this, or you do it because of it. Right? So it all depends on your mindset. And now more than ever, and right, we have the internet, we have social media. I mean, right now, we just have eyes wide open to everything, where before, because of, you know, something would come out in the newspaper and it took us like a month to find out about it.
Yeah.
Right? So now everything is instant. So now it's all in our face, like, holy shit, all this stuff's going on, you know, how do I react to it? And sometimes it's like, okay, let's just step back And then that's why it's getting clear on what you guys want. And being focused on that instead of, because right now, the world that we live in, there's noise everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much noise and the cool thing is because sometimes how many of us, when we're, no matter what level or what position that we are in our business, we're always like, God, okay, when you're coming in, you're learning all the new words, you're just like, okay, how am I gonna do this? And then after you've been in it a couple of years, you're like, okay, now how am I gonna get to the next level? And then how am I gonna get to that or da 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 da. And the cool thing is with Keller Williams, especially with these built-in playbook, it's, you guys have no excuse. It's all right there.
Play by play.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the first domino, right? So like, once you get clear on
Yeah.
why you're doing this, why you want to do this, the how is incredibly easy. Like our how is literally command, right? It's like, okay, well,
Command your life.
yeah, command your life, you know, and there's something that book that Denise Marx's husband, Doug Huberman gave us, right? He gave us a book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah.
And they talk about your gold being put to work, right? And the gold for us in the new age is not just money, it's really technology, right? I mean, they used to work this Babylon, you know, keep in mind 4,000 years ago, that they or 5,000 years ago, whatever it is, that they use the word slave a lot. And they talk about like, hey, today that term, and honestly, it's very negative, that would be technology. You know, we pay what we pay for technology, but we really leverage it to the maximum ability to handle all of that stuff. And then we become the surgeons or whatever antidote you want to use. I like to use the word sniper. Okay, so now I don't have to like talk to the masses. I can pick out 10 to 20 to 30 people a day and make them my focus, or a week and make them my focus. Then there's leads that come in, and then there's the leads that are being touched through however system you set it up for. And then you get to decide like, okay, my lifestyle, I'm not going to farm, right? I'm not going to cold call. Yeah, I'm gonna run those seminars. Okay. You know, we're gonna build an entire platform around seminars. We're gonna leverage our superpowers. We're gonna leverage what really comes natural to us that because we've just been living it and not do anything different other than be the best human beings we can be and be the best people we can be and learn the market and bring the best people to those events, right? Or to teach those events. So, you know, again, you find your superpowers by being okay with who you are and not saying, oh, wow, that's a really cool shiny ball. Let me copy that shiny ball.
Yes.
Well, you know, only so many people can play like Steph Curry. Yeah, it's like, right? They can shoot half court bombs. I'm really good at shooting 2 feet away.
Yeah.
Right. I will take 2 feet versus 32 feet and be good with my space.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a very tough thing to do because you see someone that you know you're quote unquote better than. Or you got to say, God, I have way more skills, more talent. I can just outperform them. But why? Let them be a center on the basketball team. You go be the point guard, you know, or whatever analogy you want to use. And that's like the other part of it. There's so many events to Monica's point. You want to go to the mall, but they all overlap.
Yeah.
You know?
It's impossible to go to events. That's why you have to, it's like going to college for the weekend, you know? You gotta know about the classes, you know? Like, what class do I want to take, you know? Okay, well, this one I want to take over that one. So you have to really be intentional about studying that, everything they have to offer and then attending it. Or if you're going with friends, then you split up. Okay, I want to go learn, you should go learn that. Write notes, we're gonna share notes, and so we can both get the knowledge from both of the classes and everything.
Yeah.
But that's another takeaway from going to family reunion is that you do meet people from all walks of life, from all over the world. I mean, the people I met last year, we got together and had a party this year. It was just like you said, it's like your family. It's like, oh. And so it's building that network of friends that you have all over. So if you know someone that needs to move to that area, then you already have somebody called that I know personally. I'm not just giving you to somebody I don't know. It's like a warm lead. Just passing out to somebody that you already know, the relationship with, you keep in contact, whether it be through email, text messaging. I know when I go to family reunion, I always put it in my command. So it sends them messages at least once every other month. They'll get something from me. So it's like, oh my God, I get your messages all the time. And it be simple stuff like, oh, hey, how is it going? How's the market? You know, this is what I'm doing here. So it's like little touches. Not a lot, but they remember that. You know? And they would see it, they're like, oh, watch you on Instagram, but I know you. Like, I don't really do much on Instagram. But I do post my houses every now and then, and I'm doing a showing or something, so people are watching. Where you may think, oh, I'm not doing anything,
Yeah.
you're actually watching, you're actually paying attention, and you don't even realize it.
Exactly. It is weird, it was on the same token as that, it was eye-opening for me, in a couple different instances at family reunion. I had a gal come up, she goes, aren't you on the TL of Calabasas? I'm like, what, right, you know, but it was very, oh, I see, and then I had another person say, oh, I watched, I follow you on Instagram, I'm just like,
So I say I'm kind of a big deal, I know.
no, but I'm still pushing through my own beliefs about social media and stuff like that, because it's so outside of my comfort zone and outside of what I like to do, right?
Right.
And so knowing, but people are watching you, people are paying attention, and that's just part of the world that we're in. And,
People pay attention to your numbers. I mean, $1 billion office, $2 billion office, I mean, that's not normal by no means. So like when you carry that, I mean, you must be like thrilled if you're walking through those halls. I mean, people know, people watch.
yeah, and and I still don't, yeah. I mean, they do, and I don't, it's just another thing of just being, what do you say, aware, right? Because a lot of times I'm just like oblivious, right? And then all of a sudden it gets in your face and you're like, oh, damn, okay, right? Well, I mean, let's catapult from that, and what can I learn from that, etc. So, but I like so there's no one set way of doing business, like we were talking about, whatever your superpower is. And really, just because there's so many different ways that we can go about doing business, which we learned, at another level at family reunion, is embrace it and stay away from, oh, I should do this, or comparing yourself to other people. Well, they do, you're the one, right? And really just embrace the superpower that each of you individually have, and just say, and even looking through the playbook, it's like, oh, okay, that's more my style, that's more me. Like, you guys are on doing events like crazy, so you embrace that and love that, and and being able to get business from that. So, but there is one thing though, I do believe that we all have to make sure, some people are naturally drawn to the numbers or the market stats, and some people are not. Right. And maybe aren't certain how to tell the story. So that's one area of our business that I feel that you have to figure it out, right? To be that real estate professional. And if you're uncomfortable with that, come to Philip or myself or anybody, in leadership, or another agent, to say, hey, how do you have these conversations? Because they were talking about at family reunion, study it all the time. Study it, because people want to know. You may not know it to a deep level, but if you can have the conversation and have the stats in front of you, you can, and speak to it like, hey, this is what we're seeing, this is what's going on, this is the story. Because Jason Abrams always said, hey, it's in the math. It's just math. Right? And no matter what business we're in, it's always the numbers. Does anybody watch Billions?
I haven't seen it in a long time.
That's so funny. Ray told me I had to watch it, so I started watching it. And it's like, huh. But everything's numbers. It doesn't matter. So, like I said, if anybody needs coaching on how to share the story of the numbers and then how to pull your statistic, please let us know, because we're here to help. Because it's imperative for you guys to be able to have those conversations, with your clients, because you are their real estate resource.
Yeah.
And then, but however you get business. So what are all your thoughts, Monica, I'll start with you, regarding numbers and sharing those statistics with your clients or just people in your sphere?
I mean, Philip has been doing a great job, and we even share with the team that that's what we were just talking about in our TLFTMC.
It's like,
Yeah, that's all for meetings and just, being, touching the pulse of where things are at, I mean, it's a great conversation piece, but it's also getting to know, like you said, the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean,
confidence.
yeah,
Piggyback on that, it's the, what do we call people with?
yeah,
And if we keep calling people we know, people we don't know, hey, do you want to buy real estate? Do you want to sell real estate? It gets old very quickly. And at some point, they just stop taking their calls.
Yeah.
Learn from me, they'll eventually stop, answering you. I'm gonna call from a place of value. Hey, John, I just wanted to give you a call and congratulate you. Like, well, what do you mean? Well, we have fewer listings than ever. We sold fewer homes last year. So therefore, every one of us that own a house, our home value just went up. So every year that we don't sell enough homes, well, and we don't build enough homes, value goes up. And if I'm calling someone who doesn't own a home and they're a buyer, like, hey, congratulations, we have an opportunity to get you into owning gold without paying 100% for a house, right? Like, really quick thing. If you want to buy $1 million of Google stock, $1 million. You want to buy $1 million house in West Hills, you may only need $100,000, right? Or whatever 5%, 10% down payment is, right? 50,000, 100,000. So you can still get in without paying 100%. You have to just pay 12% or 7%, whatever closing costs are, right?
Yeah.
So that mindset was like, wow, the faster somebody gets in, the sooner they can start creating those gains in their life. And one of the takeaways, I think it was a vision speech, he said, hey, what people are doing when they buy a house is they're locking in their lifestyle, right? So if it takes $5,000 a month to buy a house, well, guess what? It's going to be $5,300 in 30 years, or pay at least zero in 30 years. But in that course of time, it's only going to grow centimeters because of tax. Whereas what is rent? If I stick it out with a house, 30 years from now, that rent's 10 grand.
Nothing.
Nothing. And they even have a slide. And this is, I'm a nerd. There's a slide that even shows after 11 years, you're up 234,000 owning a house versus being up 126,000 renting and investing. And that's if you were like even just doing mutual fund or day trading or something, right? So just by living life, locking in your lifestyle. Now the dynamic's different. I'm not buying at a 7% rate. I'm not buying at an 8% rate. I'm locking in my lifestyle today so that as my income goes up, my lifestyle budget stays the same. Yeah, so that was like a nerdy takeaway from the numbers. So, but again, excuses to call people, right? Now I'm calling with, even if we get into events, let's say we said, event thing, not for us. But I called 100 people this week with the intention of dropping one slide on them. And by the way, is there a way, how else may I serve you to make you feel better about real estate and understand the market at the moment, so that, hey, if you ever do make a move, you're armed to the teeth with the information necessary. That's a different conversation than, hey, are you thinking of selling that cabin now that it's flooded or buried in 10 feet of snow?
So there.
Is it still there?
So much snow, you're like, what's happened?
Yeah, instead of calling from here, you're calling with like, because think about our audience. My mom thinks the real estate market's falling apart, and just like Jason Abrams, she's like, hey, need money? No, I'm good. We're solving. You want to give it to us? Cool. Don't need to borrow it or anything, but because everyone thinks it's falling apart, and now you're that one dissenting voice that says, hey, it's time to double down. It's time to get in the game. It's time to maximize your home ownership. Now you're top of mind, right? And what's the one rule in MREA? It's, hey, they're going to call, you have to be number one or number two. And if they do call you as number one, 80% of the time you're doing business with you. They're going to sign with you off the bat. So the more people we can plant in that mindset, and you see it more than any of us, people are leaving, people are quitting the business, they're becoming spare time, part-time, quiet agents. So for every person that decides to leave or decides to be quiet, for every one person, that's another 500 people on the open market without an agent marketing, right? So if we lose 100 agents, well, we just gained 5,000. I don't know the math. Is that 5,000? 100 times 500? 5,000 or 5,000 people, or whatever. Now don't have an agent, or is that 500,000?
That's 50,000.
50. Oh, jeez. So 50,000 people. See, I'm terrible at math. We can figure out commissions fast. I'm kidding. No, but that's 50,000 people that now don't have someone in their ear about real estate. They're now second, third, fourth of the line, and now you're contacting them. Orphan. I'm sure there's a playbook in there. you're taking on orphan clients,
Yeah.
right? So again, those numbers, those stats for our own inner person, subconscious, we're making that a stronger person to be a believer. And then number two, we're applying that in our conversation. So now when we do 100 contacts, it's a whole 100. It isn't drudgery. It's how many people can I call before I go golfing? Boom. You know, if you don't have the kids, or you don't have the kids to pick up from school, you get to go golfing.
But imagine, my kid became my nonprofit though, so.
That's true. That's true. Different set of things.
Over your life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's awesome because it is. Like I said, there's so many different, like even with each slide, you can just have one conversation, like you said, right? And here's one because you want. It, like Philip is saying, it builds that confidence, right? And then confidence gives you more strength and sense of purpose when you're having the conversations with your sphere, or if you just run into someone at the golfing range, you have a golf, whatever, right? You're armed with that information. And then two, it's just being really, you know, and we always go back to this, is just being clear, right? Just have the mindset, you create your the narrative, right? You share that narrative with the people, because if you buy in, I mean, just think how many real estate agents are buying into the media, right? The news, right? So, and so that means all your clients are as well, because they don't have the information that we have. Right, so it's your job to control the narrative and say what's going on, because again, like we mentioned, there's always gonna be something throughout your life, throughout your career. I mean, our parents, their parents always had something that they had to deal with in life. Like, oh my God, really? You know, this, that, and the other thing, there's always crazy shidizzle. You know, so, and there's always gonna be uncertainty in the world, there's always gonna be something there. So you just kind of draw in your bubble, protect yourself, right? You gotta protect your mind, body, and soul from all the stuff that's out there. And then be clear, and then we go back to the environment. So like, how good did it feel to be around all those like-minded people?
Yes, the energy is crazy. The energy is just, it just makes you feel like you're unstoppable. You know, to see everybody moving in the same force, everybody coming for the same reason, everybody.
Weirdo anymore.
No.
Just, you know, if anything, they're like, oh, you guys run band and you guys believe in God and family first. Wow, that's amazing. And then business just multiplied because you got your priorities straight. What a concept. You know, outside of that, you do feel kind of a weirdo. You have the board of realtors like, oh, how are you not all in? How are you like spending so much time? Don't you care about your clients? Well, yeah, I care about my clients. That's why I'm doing things by family. I don't know what to tell you. You know, so it is like a weird Twilight Zone type of feeling where all of a sudden we're the slowest kids on the bus because people are running at like such higher demand. You're like, oh wow, that's what it looks like when you're going full throttle. You know.
And it doesn't stop, you know, it goes from having the classes in the daytime to doing the mini masterminds afterwards. They have so many mini breakout sessions that you get invited to just by being around other people.
Yeah.
So just being in that space, it's like, oh, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you want to come to this? It's like, that's not on the schedule. No, it's an invitation I'm giving you. It's for me that when there's other people that's masterminding about other things that they're doing in their industry that's working for them, that now you get to get that golden nugget that can maybe work for you, which you would have never got if you wasn't present.
Well, it's so funny because you had one of those weird moments in Austin last year.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden you're going down into this secret meeting. And I think it was the wrong one, right? And then you end up getting.
Yeah, so I mean, where I was staying at, it was an Airbnb, and when you walk in, there's like this really cool, like a lounge area. I had no idea what was going on, and I just walked in to see what was happening, and got put into a whole moment. It just happened to be by accident. They invited me to stay. I was like, that's not good stay. I learned some new stuff, meet some new people, and you know, network and everything. And it was just being present, you know.
Well, the cool thing too with, and you've been to, what, 3 or 4 events now?
Yeah, so I went to family reunion last year,
Yeah.
mega camp last year, and now family reunion this year, and I'll be going in Vegas, because it's in Vegas.
Oh, that's right, next year.
As that family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 years in a row, Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not 1,500 by one.
So. So good.
That's all.
So the cool thing about it is that we, so I wanted to particularly say to you, after 3, you could tell, even though there's 17,000 people that were there, the people, it gets a small community.
Yeah.
Still, and then you see people and you're like, oh my God, I know you should, now you reconnect, you're already reconnected with people, building these relationships. And it keeps getting smaller and smaller the more that you go, and it's pretty cool, the family that they have created on a macro and micro level.
And it actually works because my husband travels and so I get to go with him sometimes. Well, he tries to let me go all the time, but I try to, pull back.
Yeah.
But you're able to go and connect with those other realtors for lunch
Yeah.
or dinner, or go and see what their market is doing when you're there. Cause it's like, you're gonna have some downtime because you're not working.
Yeah.
And so just going from a reunion, meet with them, that's a connection that you have moving forward. So if you need somewhere to go in another city, hey, let me call Monica. Monica lives in LA. Monica, what do you do, And I think she talked to Monica where they were like, oh, let me go, because I have a lead over there. So, yeah, so that's another good thing about meeting other people from all around.
Yeah, very cool. So, any last takeaways or things that you want to share, before we wrap up that you think is imperative from, our family reunion days?
I wrote a note in all caps here. Entrepreneurship is the miracle of America. And in the everywhere you went, it said where entrepreneurs thrive, right?
Yeah.
And so when you think about the word entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that you work for somebody, you work for yourself, right? It's a choose your own adventure if you've ever read those type of books, or it's like a video game, or it's an open world concept, and make your choices as you go. And you can invest in certain things and not invest in certain things. And so I think of KW as a place where we're not weird, right? And we can actually build a life through real estate and not be slaves to our clients.
Yeah.
Because if you- life by design. And when we think of entrepreneurship, it's up to us, not the market center, not our PC, not your team leader, not anybody, but you, to determine how high, how fast, how well you grow in real estate. Now, it's a bonus that we have an awesome team leader. It's a bonus that we have an environment and culture that fosters this type of growth. It's a bonus that we have these masterminds. Yet at the end of the day, it's always going to be on the individual's situation, right? Like if we want to see change, what do they say? Either change.
Either change.
The change.
That's what you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was my, I had a lot of notes, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah, I will say one more thing. Whatever business you think that you want to build, there's someone in KW who's doing it 10x, 100x, 1000x the scale, right? And so God bless entrepreneurship, God bless America, and there's no copyright infringement. We can copycat every single person.
Copy the right.
Copy the right cat.
Copy the right cat.
That's good. Copy the right cat. That's a good one. No copy at all. Like I will say the playbook's there. If you think you can do 90, you can probably do 9,000. If you think you can do 9,000, you probably do 90,000. I'm trying to figure out my math, but it's all possible where we stand. And the very, very, very last one is our goals match what's possible. Yes, we're down 40%, and we'll likely be down 60% after this year's over. But you know what? 4.1 million sales or 3.9 million sales is still greater than the 90 I had in mind. Right? And if you look at the hyper local market, 1,000 homes will sell. You only need to sell 90. Right? So it's not like, hey, we need to sell every house that doesn't sell in order to make our goals dreams come true. We're accomplishing our goals and then some with just the market of the present moment, minus all the stragglers, minus all the part-timers, and focused in on what we want to accomplish for ourselves, our families, our teammates, and the public at large, our clients at large.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so these are some of the things that I had. Advice that was given is not to be too transactional, but to be relational. So don't look at it as a transaction, get to know people and connect with them, have a relationship. We gotta know who our top 50 people are. in our lives and connect with those people, take them to coffee, take them to dinner, you know,
Mhm.
reconnect with them because they know people that want to do what you're doing. Just gotta connect with those top 50 people. Be better than your problems. We are problem solvers, you know, that's what we do. We solve a problem. You need a house, what do you need? What are you looking for? So we have to be better than that. You gotta solve those problems and everything. We always talk about this every morning. Mindset is so important. How you look at it is what you're gonna get out of it.
Mhm.
So if you look at a situation as a problem, it's gonna be a problem. If you look at it as, I got the solution, let's figure it out. You're going to figure that out. And of course, what Gary says, be the buffalo, charge the storm.
Oh, that's my shirt today.
Buffalo, charge the storm. And play the long game. Don't look at it like, I gotta get this next month. No, it's building that relationship. That's gonna take time.
Yeah.
And you'll get to the finish line. And the one thing that they said, I think this was in Gary's speech, where he said there are fewer homes for sale this year. And they projected to be 4.25 million.
Mhm.
With the number of realtors nationwide, we would have to work harder than our unfair share. So just like what he was saying,
Mhm.
people are dropping out, we're able to collect those people, but even if we have fewer home sales, we only need what our number is to meet
Right.
Yeah.
our goal.
Yeah.
So you look at that and you just scale down and get to where you need to go, and don't look at the big picture around you. Oh, man, killer.
That's awesome.
And then, you know, we're having the fewest amount of sales projected this year, but the third highest sale volume in the history of the United
Yeah.
States.
Mhm.
So we're only gonna sell 4.1 million or whatever the number is. But we're gonna sell a total volume of 3.1 trillion.
Yeah.
And it's still the third highest with one of our lowest sale years ever.
Because even though the sales are going down, the sell point is going up.
Yeah.
So that's sell it.
Well, house is gold, literally, like
Yeah.
grandma's house. Don't sell, mom.
Yeah.
It's not me. Keep it on family.
Monica.
God, they already said everything. Not just one of the things that, Mo Anderson said is your behavior needs to match the movement. And it goes back to what Philip, started talking about, just. You cannot come out to your client and you wanna sell, right? Just do the whole push because you have. You need to pay your bills, right? No, you have to come with from a place of value. What is your value position towards your clients, to your team, to everybody else around you is, don't have commission breath. So you have to match your the moment in the market, so.
Yeah.
I really like what you said, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, so, and then, one thing I'll just share too is from Ed Milet is, being in the now, being in the moment. Just really, because it's so easy and I'm one of the biggest, what do you call it? I do it all the time. I'm talking to someone and I'm texting and so I'm just like, because there's, there's just so many things happening. But being in the now, being present with the person that you're at. So that's why I was like, hey, let's sit in the conference room and have a conversation so then we can be mano a mano and have the conversation and because it's not fair to our client or the person that we're talking to or our child or whatever, that if we're constantly being distracted, we're not giving
Your full attention.
Full
You're
attention.
not receiving everything that they're trying to get to. You're missing something because you're not fully present.
Yeah. And that was, like I said, one of my biggest takeaways from him. And it was nice actually listening to someone and I put my phone away. I didn't have it on at times.
So it's on YouTube now, so people can watch it.
Is it on?
It's on YouTube.
That's worth
Yeah.
deep study.
Let me tell you, watch it, you're gonna cry.
I'm so bad.
I'm going to cry.
Yeah, it was quite the emotional journey that he took us on. And yeah, it was intense. So with that said, thank you all for being on. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your insight, your wisdom, your heart, everything.
Forward living dinner, by the way, killer.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's every Find others to meet other people besides me with
Yeah.
Wednesday.
That was pretty cool, like hearing Paul and seeing Eddie and then the one-on-one in between everything, it's pretty cool, like to take it from flow to like, oh, hey. Dude, you're like 7 feet tall, I mean, the guy was like a giant, and Clint, But to see other warriors within forward living, and they were sharing the same language. You know, it wasn't this weird thing, like just being in a place where command and God, faith, family, business was a norm. It was normal. It was nice to see other people within the forward living group talk about prospecting, talk about their appointments, talk about their struggles. The luxury struggles are no different than the stuff in the standard markets, in the entry level market, right? So it was kind of neat to see that they were human and they're kicking ass, right? And that we're human, and you know, people will say we're kicking ass. Well, I don't know, you know, there's always a level of growth.
I think it's all about perception too. You may look, they look like they're kicking, but then they may be doing the same struggles that you're going through, and so you're.
And they were open, they were honest about it. You know, they weren't hiding anything. It wasn't a facade. Talking to Robert, he's like, bro, it's down. We're gonna power through this. And I'm like, awesome. This is like, yeah, this guy, brothers keeping it real. So yeah, it was pretty neat to see that. And I wish we get to do more of it. I know we are, and we're in the process of it, but thank you for putting that together. Because I know the other team leaders, it's being recorded. Nobody can do what you just did there, what you continue to do for our office and your handholding on 10 other offices. So thank you, Stephanie. Awesome.
Thank you. I mean, you guys make it easy for me, so it's my pleasure and I love it.
Woo.
I love it. So, all right, everybody, well, go out, have an amazing day, and I'm sending all the materials over to MJ so she can get the email out with all the links for everything.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Wow.
So, okay.
Deep dive time.
All right, so thank you all. Have an amazing
Good to see you, Susie.
day.
See
And
ya.